Hello and welcome to News Round, a recap of stories in the week. I'm Teniola Shoboale. The headlines. Christian faithful in Nigeria celebrate Christmas, which symbolizes the birth of Jesus Christ in Bethlehem over 2,000 years ago. Academic Staff Union of Universities calls off 9-month-old strike. Union says it could resume action anytime. Lagos residents thronged the National Identity Management Commission office in Lagos after its closure over applicants' non-compliance with the COVID-19 protocol. Plus, the United Kingdom and the European Union agreed to a historic trade deal. Those are your headlines. News Round begins with a special day in the Christian calendar, Christmas, which symbolizes the birth of Jesus Christ in Bethlehem over 2,000 years ago. The celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ comes with a lot of fanfare, including spiritual reflection on the important foundations of the Christian faith and a celebration of God's love for the world through the birth of his son, Jesus. Worshippers gathered across churches in Lagos, southwest Nigeria, despite the COVID-19 pandemic.
Church service on Christmas Day is an age-long tradition that many Christians will not ignore. Mindful of the coronavirus pandemic, churches ensure that precautionary measures are observed. Traditional Christmas hymns reverberate as parishioners at the Cathedral Church of Christ in Marina gather for a special church service. These are readings and sermons related to the birth of Jesus Christ.
Whoever believes in him is not condemned.
And a message from the pulpit.
When a government is not righteous, it affects everybody. The promise of Christmas is that the Messiah will govern with righteousness and his peace will be established.
At Our Lady of Perpetual Help Catholic Church, Isheri Olofi, parishioners are engrossed in sessions of praise and worship. A contemporary play about the birth of Jesus Christ is one of the main highlights of the service at the Kingsway International Christian Center.
Jesus is the light of the world, and we believe, God, that there's going to be light in this darkness, and one day COVID-19 will be a thing of the past. So let us jubilate, celebrate, like we know that we already have the victory.
One thief to the left.
At the Citadel Global Community Church, the senior pastor, Tunde Bakari, explains that the birth of Christ symbolizes the beginning of new things for mankind. The cleric sheds more light on his message after the service.
Like Jeremiah said, the Lord shall do a new thing on earth. A woman shall encompass a man. That was fulfilled. That is the beginning of a new calendar for humanity. And we trust God that those who believe him will receive that newness in this season. And God will have mercy upon our leaders and upon our nation so that Nigeria can turn around for the better and in our lifetime.
Despite the low-key celebration, Christmas Day is always a delight many look forward to. And starting the day from church is a reminder for Christians that Jesus Christ is the reason for the season.
While still in the Christmas mood, this time in Abuja, the nation's capital, Christian faithfuls say they are grateful for the gift of life in spite of the events of the outgoing year. The primate of the Anglican Communion, the Most Reverend Henry Nduguba, believes the celebration is an opportunity to address what has become a thorny issue in the land: security.
A very calm atmosphere is observed at the Cathedral Church of Advent in Abuja, as worshippers arrive for the Christmas Day service in scanty numbers due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has disrupted the norm. Churchgoers are expected to wash their hands and pass through a decontaminating tunnel. Inside the church, it is unusually not full to capacity, as the primate of the Anglican Communion in Nigeria delivers the Christmas message.
This Christmas is the celebration of God's love for a world that is under devastation. That the coming of Jesus Christ, the birth of our Lord Jesus, is a good news, is the good tidings of great joy.
At the Catholic Archdiocese, the situation is the same. The usually full auditorium is scanty. Speaking to journalists at the end of church service, the Catholic Archbishop Ignatius K. Gama comments on the COVID-19 pandemic.
We just have to live with it and take the precautions that are absolutely necessary. Let us not be deceived that it doesn't exist. It does. And all we do to conquer this disease is to take the appropriate measures, the hand washing and the face mask and the distancing and all that. We need to be careful.
Apart from the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, Nigerians are celebrating the Christmas amid rising cost of food. The message from the clerics is for everyone to stay hopeful and trust God for a better Nigeria. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Away from Christmas to another cheering news, the Academic Staff Union of Universities has called off its 9-month-old strike. The decision to suspend the strike was taken after a meeting held by members at the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja. The union says it made some compromise, ordering the lecturers to return to classes.
NEC resolved that the current strike action by the union should be suspended conditionally.
Perhaps the best Christmas gift for students in Nigerian universities whose academic activities had been put on hold for the past 9 months owing to the strike action embarked upon by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, over government's failure to meet its end of the 2009, 2013, 2017 and 2019 agreements. Since March the 12th this year, when the first conciliatory meeting between ASUU and the federal government was held, there have been several other meetings culminating in an end to the strike action, as ASUU seems satisfied with the new agreements reached on Tuesday, December the 22nd.
The agreements which were reached in good faith between the government and the ASUU on Tuesday, 22nd December 2020, impose some obligations on both sides. What we believe is that if the federal government faithfully implements the resolutions with ASUU, students and student parents and other stakeholders playing their essential roles, further crises will be avoided.
Some of the demands of the striking lecturers are the payment of universities' revitalization funds, payment of earned academic allowances, payment of all withheld salaries of members, and exclusion of its members from the government payroll system called IPPIS. It would seem, however, that the IPPIS UTAS payment tussle has been settled.
We are just at the last stage of integrity test of UTAS, and we are with NIDA presently. As soon as we cross that last hurdle, government has agreed with us that our members will be migrated to UTAS.
Speaking after a meeting with the union earlier on Tuesday, the Minister of Labour and Employment maintained that the government has fulfilled all the demands of ASUU.
A lot of the complaints have been addressed, and today we will conclusively address the leftovers, and we therefore call off their action, their strike action, so that we can prepare for a readjusted school calendar.
While there is no time frame for the implementation of the agreement, ASUU vows to closely monitor the government and says the union will not hesitate to embark on another strike without notice if the government reneges on the agreement. Terry Ekumi, Channels Television News.
Now to the nation's budget, as the National Assembly has approved the sum of 13.588 trillion naira for 2021 with an increase of 505 billion naira. Both chambers are requesting the President Buhari to send a supplementary budget because of the increase in oil price in the international market.
It's the last day of legislative sitting for 2020, and both houses of the National Assembly have one major agenda before them: to pass the 2021 appropriation bill. President Buhari had submitted a 13.082 trillion naira budget to a joint session of the National Assembly on October 8, 2020. The National Assembly has jacked up the figure by 505 billion to 13.588 trillion naira.
The need to enhance the structure of the budget, to allow for the reflation of the economy in order to accelerate the process of taking out the economy from its current state of recession.
It retains the key assumptions proposed by the executive in the 2021 to 2023 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework (MTEF) and Fiscal Policy Paper (FSP). The benchmark price of crude was maintained at $40 per barrel, crude oil production 1.86 million barrels per day, exchange rate of 379 naira to $1, and a GDP growth rate of 3.00%.
Thursday, 17 December.
Although the National Assembly is retaining the proposed $40 benchmark price of crude, it observes that the increase in oil price in the international market gives the country the opportunity to earn extra funds.
A major recommendation in the view of increasing the total global oil price, which is above the benchmark of $40, the executive may consider the submission of supplementary appropriation bill in the event of seeming sustainable improvement of the oil price. This will help quicken the exit of the economy from the current state of recession.
I believe that at one point in the first quarter of next year, there should be a supplementary budget as early as possible, probably by January when we return, to ensure that we capture the vaccine needs, the COVID-19 vaccine needs of all Nigerians.
While the National Assembly is looking towards a supplementary budget from the President to fund some key sectors, some crucial sectoral appropriations include Ministry of Defense, which gets the largest appropriation, 838.559 billion, Ministry of Interior, 227.015 billion, Office of a National Security Advisor, 134.095 billion, Ministry of Education, 545.237 billion, Ministry of Health, 380.208 billion, and Ministry of Power, 6.069 billion naira. The Senate is to get the sum of 33.267 billion, while the House of Representatives will get 51.994 billion naira. But with a budget deficit of more than 5 trillion naira, and an inflation rate of 14.89%, the highest recorded in 34 months since January 2018. There are indeed tough days ahead for the country. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
When News Round returns in just a moment, Lagos residents thronged the National Identity Management Commission office in Lagos after its closure over applicants' non-compliance with COVID-19 protocol. Details in a moment. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. The National Identity Management Commission in Lagos has resumed the enrollment of residents for the National Identity Number after its closure over applicants' non-compliance with the COVID-19 protocols. But it appears the body may have to strategize over crowd control as more people continue to throng the registration centre.
Caution is thrown to the wind as Lagos residents besiege the main gate leading to the National Identity Management Commission in Elausai, Keja, to register for the National Identity Number, NIN. Before now, about 200 early arrivals had been allowed in. But at some point, frustration sets in for those waiting.
What kind of statement is that? I'm just getting it today. Why is it telling us that one that there's no bonus when we come inside? I've been coming here with baby every day.
As minutes turn to hours, they allege irregularities in the conduct of the exercise.
Since Friday, I've been coming all the way from away. On Friday, I was here. Monday, I was here. Tuesday, being today, I was here as early as 6 a.m. this morning. They said that they're collecting only 200 people.
So I have work to do. And so I have to come here every day. Now I'm here again today. No chance to enter. Do I have to wake up by 5 a.m. to come here because I want to do a national identity card? It doesn't make any sense.
Apart from the provision of a hand wash, other COVID-19 safety guidelines like social distancing are hardly enforced. Within the registration hall, social distancing is observed, and one after the other, applicants are called for enrollment. Seven points are provided to attend to various needs: enrollment, customer complaints, and slip collection. But one wonders how this number of systems can handle the crowd.
We can attend to 500 people minimum in a day, but it's just that first come, first served basis. The process that we took up is that people at the gate that wants to collect their NIN, what we'll do is collect the tracking slips and print and return back to them, because they don't need to come into the premises because we have to adhere to the safety guidelines.
The National Identity Management Commission is confident that with the new addition of 203 licensed data capturing agents, it will enroll over 200 million Nigerians before February the 9th, 2021, which is the new deadline for linking of national identification numbers with SIM cards.
And now to Kwara State, where an accident has left 6 persons dead. This happened when a petrol tanker lost control in the Jeba area of Moro local government area of the state. 30 buildings and shops were consumed in the explosion that followed the incident. Passengers coming into the country from the United Kingdom and South Africa will now require a permit after filling an online portal before they will be allowed to board. That's a decision of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 to prevent the importation of the new strain of the virus, which has been reported in the 2 countries.
Members of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 arrived at the conference hall to give updates on the national response to the pandemic. The recent rise in the number of cases in the country appears to be a major concern for the task force. But perhaps of more interest is how to prevent the importation of the new strain of the virus, which has been reported in the United Kingdom and South Africa.
Effective from 0001 hours on Monday, the 28th of December, all passengers coming into the country from the UK and South Africa on direct flights must use the Nigeria International Travel Portal to register, fill in their health questionnaire. They must upload a negative COVID-19 PCR result with a validity of not more than 5 days, and they must pay for a COVID PCR test at day 7 of arrival in country, and a permit to travel document, which we use to refer to as the QR code.
The numbers of infection and fatality among young people continue to rise in Nigeria, just as more inbound passengers test positive to COVID-19.
Over 50% of our cases are young people aged 21 to 40. So we're watching this trend very carefully. It really indicates where transmission is happening in our country and what is driving transmission. So we have to bear that in mind, especially at this point in the year.
Last week, the number of inbound
passengers increased to 20,208 against 15,805 the previous week. 270 passengers tested positive after 7 days against 129 that tested positive the week before.
So far, Nigeria has recorded over 80,000 cases of COVID-19 from the 912,114 samples tested. The country has also lost over 1,200 people to the virus. The chairman of the task force urges states across the country not to close down the isolation and treatment centers.
As we make progress on this MPIs plus vaccine issue or phase, I urge the state governments not to close down their treatment centers. Rather, they should keep them running efficiently and smoothly because the cases of infections are rising.
The numbers of COVID-19 infection in Nigeria slowed down a few months ago, but the country is currently witnessing a spike. And as the festive season begins, the task force cautions on the need to take personal responsibility and get protected against the virus.
Now, News Round comes to a close with the United Kingdom and the European Union agreeing to a historic trade deal following talks that had been deadlocked for months after the two sides were unable to reach agreement in many areas, including trade. But now EU leaders, the European Parliament and the UK government will all need to approve the agreement on their own.
It was a long and winding road, but we have got a good deal to show for it. It is fair, it is a balanced deal, and it is the right and responsible thing to do for both sides. Competition in our single market will be fair and remain so. The EU rules and standards will be respected. We have effective tools to react if fair competition is distorted and impacts our trade. Secondly, we will continue cooperating with the UK in all areas of mutual interest. For example, in the field of climate change, energy, security and transport. Together, we still achieve more than we do apart.
The clock is no longer ticking. After 4 years of collective effort and EU unity, to preserve peace and stability on the island of Ireland, to protect the citizens and the single market, to build a new partnership with the UK. Today is a day of relief, but tinged by some sadness, as we compare what came before with what lies ahead.
And that's News Round this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tenyola Shuboali.